Let's talk about human resource management. Initially, it started as an industrial relations exercise or an IR department, industrial relations department. The focus was on workmen, labor force, and dealing with them, various legal issues, unionization, union issues, ESI, legal aspects, labor laws. So that is how it started. Then it became P&A or PA, personal administration, dealing with the administrative aspects or maintenance aspects of personnel or human resources, which was leave and salaries and paperwork and records and things of that sort. Then it became more of development, human resource development, where it started talking about training and development. So there has been some sort of evolution or progress in this area. Now the entire thing can be called human resource manage, which deals with employees, all the employees in the organization. And it's basically a staff function because it supports the various line departments. Of course, there would be people who would be working in the HR department also, but then HR also has to support production, support marketing, and other departments. What does HR do? Well, basically, the job starts with recruiting employees. That is the first thing. When you start something, you need to recruit or hire employees. So HR gets into that area to recruit. Again, it has to work in consultation with the other line departments. If it is recruiting for HR itself, then it's okay. But if it wants to recruit people for production, then it has to consult with production. So production people will say, look, this is what I want. So the first, there are two aspects to this: drawing up the job description and drawing up the job specifications. Job description is about what will the role entail, what is the new recruit going to do, what will be his job. So writing down what the person is supposed to do. And job specification means what kind of a person you are looking for this role. The person should have this much experience, this kind of experience, this age, these qualifications, these kinds of backgrounds, these kinds of skills and all that. So once that is frozen, then HR tries sourcing, and then there is testing, evaluation and all that, again done jointly with the line department which is putting the requirement. And jointly HR basically facilitates this process. HR finds the candidates, and finally the line department has a HR assists that process, but the line department selects the employee. Once the employee joins, then maybe there is some orientation induction because the newcomer has joined. Sometimes you have to help him in moving his kids or relocating or finding a house, settling down. So getting him familiarized with the company, getting him to know people, some sort of introduction, orientation, induction, initial training, to orientation, induction kind of training. And then the employee joins the respective department. That is more or less the role of the respective department. Then the HR is just looking after the things like absenteeism, leave, administration, salary, and stuff like that. So that is what HR does. HR also gets into training and development of the employee, where again the need may come from the department. HR also conducts surveys. Sometimes when you have certificates like ISO, you have to have mandatory training. So HR gets involved in this exercise. Employee may be asked about his training needs. His boss may be asked about the training needs of his subordinates. And put together, there is a training need assessment or TNA carried out, and then the training is identified. These are the training. It could be technical training related to the particular area in which he or she is working, production or marketing or R&D or maintenance, or it could be behavioral, general, attitudinal, motivational sorts of soft skills training. So then the training needs are identified. Then HR helps in getting the faculty, whether internal faculty or outside faculty, and organizes the training programs. There could be training appraisal after the training is given, whether the training has helped in improvement of performance. Feedback is taken from the trainees about how they found the training, whether it was useful or not. So these kinds of things is what HR gets involved in. HR also tries to work on long-term career development of these employees over a period of time. their career development and all that. It also has to get involved in decisions like, of course, then there is annual or there is performance appraisal or performance evaluation of the employees, where again, formally it is a yearly exercise once in a year, but there could be periodic exercises. Again, the appraisal is done by his immediate superior in that particular department, but HR assists that process. Sometimes the employee can appraise himself. That is also one element in the appraisal process. The boss appraises the employee, has a self-appraisal form. Then there could sometimes be 360-degree appraisal, where I am appraised by my juniors, by my seniors, by my peers, and maybe other people that I in contact with other departments, maybe even customers, suppliers, and all that. It's full rounded 360-degree appraisal. So appraisal exercise is carried out, based on which decisions are taken for increment, maybe for transfers or job rotation, maybe for promotion, maybe for demotion, maybe for firing or termination, all sorts of things. So these sorts of things are also part and parcel of the HR thing. HR also has to work on carries out data collection of various sorts, like satisfaction survey of the employees, climate survey, how do employees feel in the company. HR also tries to carry out salary survey to find out what is the overall job salary packages available, so that you are competitive enough. When you want to hire people, then of course it is a job market, it's a labor market. So then you are competing with other companies who are also I want to join some other company. So what is the general salary structure in the industry and all that? So HR tries to get a sense of that, right? So HR has to get involved, human resource people have to get involved in those kinds of exercises. If the employee leaves, then they do some sort of an exit interview where they ask him, what did you find, how did you find our company, was it good, bad, ugly, your inputs, your suggestions to make it better or whatever, because the employee is anyway leaving, so he can give a frank review. That is the idea behind carrying out those surveys. So sometimes that is also done. So those sorts of things are what the human resource people essentially do. They might be carrying out sometimes there is voluntary retirement carried out, VRS schemes. So designing of VRS schemes is one part of it. Large scale restructuring is done, retrenchment is done. So HR has to unfortunately get involved in those kinds of things also. HR has to look at transfers, job rotation, promotion, sometimes even cosmetic promotion, in terms of you don't really get promoted, but your designation gets better. So then you still feel good that you are now senior executive instead of executive. Maybe no real increase in authority or responsibility. And sometimes there is a real promotion also, where your authority and responsibility can also go up. So these are the various sorts of things. HR also has to get into counseling when an employee is not doing well. So again, the employee may approach HR, the line department may approach HR for some sort of an intervention when they feel that something needs to be done for the employee, whether training or development or job rotation or transfer or things of that sort. HR has to get involved in personnel policies about office hours, discipline, leave, benefits, paperwork, what kind of certificates are to be given, letters to be drafted, whether you give joining letter or whether you give experience certificate or whether you ask for relieving letter and all those kinds of things. HR also has to get into all sorts of labor law aspects when there are court cases pertaining to employees, accidents and things of that sort. So there's a lot of labor law and legal aspects, provident fund issues, maybe gratuity, maybe superannuation in some cases. So human resource department generally deals with those things: retirement, disciplinary action. It has to deal with absenteeism, how to take care of absenteeism, sometimes job satisfaction issues. Depends upon who. Somebody may say that look into this. Maybe employees come to it with grievances and complaints. Maybe the line departments approach HR. Maybe HR itself initiates certain sorts of exercises of this sort. There is also the new trend of performance appraisal is also a complex exercise in that there are various ways of doing it. People try to make it very objective, very quantitative, but still there is an element of judgment involved in it. They talk of key result areas or KRAs. You have to deliver on your KRAs. Your performance, there are various things that you need to do, but these are the key aspects of your performance. So these are the areas in which your performance would really be is priority and which will be key for you to get a good appraisal. So there are various ways of doing this appraisal. You give marks, maybe a committee gives marks, maybe you do weighting out or averaging out of that. So you try to make it, if it is target based, then if you have achieved target, it's very clear. The target is in terms of numbers, you have delivered those numbers, then it is clear that you have achieved or not. That becomes simpler. But every job doesn't have a target. So sometimes whether he has done good, bad or ugly, again depends upon judgment of the person giving. So if there are more people, maybe the opinion balances out. So these are the sorts of things that human resource management essentially deals with. We'll be talking about other issues later on. Thank you.